the systemic war on Christianity. It's here. It's become government policy. Now let's clarify why before we go into everything else. Why has it become government policy? It's not that the government hates Christians more than it hates Jews. It's that the government doesn't share. It doesn't share loyalty, the loyalties of the people, because America has traditionally been a more Christian nation, founded by Christians. The majority have been Christians traditionally. That has been the one that has been the focus of America's communists, America's government, and the war is everywhere. And it's really, really bad. And it's gotten to the point where we have complete infiltration of the church by the filthy commies. You see what happened with the United Methodists? I know it's the Methodists, but did you see what happened? They just lifted a 4-decade ban on LGBTQ clergy. A 4-decade ban. If you want to know one of the main reasons why American Christianity, the American church, has not fought back as hard against the dirty, godless, demonic commies as they should have, it's because the American church got infiltrated years ago with all this cultural Marxist filth everywhere. Oh, we need more women in here. Do we have enough gay people in there? Now it's everywhere. Now you have sermons about a non-binary God.
I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let us confess our faith today in the words of the Sparkle Creed. I believe in the non-binary God, whose pronouns are plural. I believe in Jesus Christ, their child, who wore a fabulous tunic and had 2 dads, and saw everyone as a sibling child of God. I believe in the rainbow spirit, who shatters our image of one white light and refracts it into a rainbow of gorgeous diversity.
And there's my frustration. It's not just with the church. My frustration is all the opposing sides, the sides that should be standing firm, standing tall against the demons as they tear through everything we see. The sides that should be standing tall instead, in so many cases, in most cases, have been co-opted, infiltrated, destroyed by the evil demons on the left. So now they can't stand tall at all. We don't stand tall on anything. What does the right stand firm on? Besides campus anti-Semitism, of course. Is there anything the right firmly stands on? Anything? You can't get the Republican Party to be unified on life anymore. Wrap your mind around that. Wrap your mind around that. The Republican Party for the entirety of my life has pretended to be the pro-life party. Because, you know, massacring a baby in its mother's womb is awful, like the worst thing you could ever do. And the Republicans have acknowledged that, at least publicly, for the entirety of my life. This is wrong. We should protect life, protect the mother, protect the baby, protect life, protect life. That has been the stance of the Republican Party, at least publicly, for the entirety of my life. But no, not anymore. Not in the year 2024. In the year 2024, the Republican Party, they picked up some polls and they looked at some poll numbers and they said, oh my gosh, women in this country, they love abortion. They really love it. What if this costs us an election? Hey guys, let's get more abortions out here. We have a Republican-controlled legislature in the state of Arizona. I want to make sure I reemphasize that. The governor is a Democrat. There's no question about it. But the legislature is Republican-controlled. This was a demonstration that was just allowed to happen at Arizona's Capitol.
That's one of the things when the whole topic of kids being trans come up. Like, no, listen to your kids. And adults change pronouns all the time. Adults, as we grow and as we mature and as we figure it out, we may go from identifying as, within the binary, and then we decide, you know what, that doesn't fit me. I think I'm agender. I don't really identify as a gender. So please use they, them pronouns.
Drag Queen Story Hour. Planned Parenthood Drag Queen Story Hour at the Republican Capitol. Oh, and I didn't even mention, speaking of the abortion issue, they're now going to repeal the pro-life law. They had a pro-life law in the books. Arizona Supreme Court upheld the law. The law was a ban on the practice of abortion. But because we checked the poll numbers, the Republican-controlled legislature vetoing it, heading to Katie Hobbs' desk. We know what she'll do with it. A bipartisan majority. 2 Republicans voted for it, Shauna Bullock and Thomas Shope, in case you're wondering. They both have primaries in July, if you'd like to do something about that. And look, I know, this is the point. This is the point where desperate people on the right, maybe you're saying this yourself right now, is, Jesse, we got to win elections or all is lost. Jesse, oh my gosh. Look, we have to win elections. If I don't have any of my values reflected in the GOP, then why would I care if the GOP wins elections? I mean, look, I feel the same desperation you feel. I look at Joe Biden, I look what the communists are doing, and I want everything to stop, and I want the madness to stop, and to stop the destruction of my country. So we have to stop them, right? We need to stop them. But if I need to stop them and we need to replace them, well, I need to replace them with something that reflects my values at all, or else don't replace them. Just leave them there. What exactly does the Republican Party stand for? What do they stand for? What do they stand firm on? You know, let me ask you something. I was actually talking to one of my producers about this before the show, but let me ask you something. For the last week or two, how many Republicans, senators, House, everybody, how many national Republicans have you seen go on television and yell about what's happening on college campuses, the anti-Semitism and the violence and the protests and how many Republicans have you seen in the last week or two? All of them? It's pretty much all of them. It's most of them. Public statements, bills, things like that. Okay, all right, so you got that. You remember all the speeches. They're all doing it. It's the big thing now. Now, let me ask you something. Knowing that the FBI has already infiltrated the Christian church, knowing that the Department of Justice has been kicking in the doors of pastors and pro-lifers, knowing all the things you know about what's happening to America's Christians, when's the last GOPer you saw step up to the podium and talk about the war being waged on America's Christians by America's government? When's the last time you saw it? Oh, I know we're really, really, really concerned right now with what's going on at Ivy League campuses, because those are really that's where our freedom grows, isn't it? That's where our allies can be found. So I know we're really worried about NYU, and I certainly don't want to stop anybody from fixing things at NYU. But when's the last GOP speech you saw about protecting the church from the government? Have you even seen one? All right, so last week, you remember Wednesday, Thursday, I don't remember what day here on the show, we talked about an email we got to the show, got an email from a farmer because of inflation, because of everything. He can't make ends meet anymore. Now he's signing up for welfare, signing up for EBT. He felt terrible. He felt like a disgrace, felt like it was a disappointment. Remember, we talked about it. We read it on the show, all right? So that hit me hard. And I told you at the time, it hit me hard. Then this weekend, we had to have we were hosting some big neighborhood party this weekend. I won't go into the details of it. It doesn't matter. It was just some little neighborhood event, some horseshoes, whatever. But we had to order the food for it. And so we had to get this food delivered to the house for it. And I'm out there to meet the delivery lady. Little old lady shows up, older car, car's older and beat up. Little old lady shows up. And because it was a decent size order, because it was a whole neighborhood, she got a decent tip, just percentage-wise, out of the whole deal. And she got a decent tip. It's fine. And she thanked me for it. And she said that tip that she had made, it was $60. She said it made her entire day. And you could tell when she was telling me it, that it changed her life. It changed her $60. Little old lady, so hard up for money, she's doing food deliveries on Saturday at 10 a.m. and $60 changed her entire life. And so what happened this weekend was by Sunday afternoon, I was in a funk. If I just want to put it that way, in a funk. Does that make sense? You ever get yourself in a funk? And my wife could tell. And she started asking me, what's bothering you? What's bothering you? What's bothering you? And I started thinking about it. It's eating me up. It's eating me up how badly Americans are suffering all around me right now. And I'm starting to let it get to me. And I know I need to not do that, but it's starting to get to me. I can't stand it. And then when I contrast that with how the politicians in this country are acting right now in Washington, D.C., Democrat and Republican, it just eats me so bad. Nobody cares about those people. No one talks about those people, Democrat or Republican. Very, very few. No Democrats and 5 Republicans talk about those people. The farmer going on EBT, the little old lady who's so smashed by inflation that she can't move. And I'm going to get upset, so I'm going to calm down. They never even talk about them. They never mention it at all. Do you remember last week we were talking about Ukraine and they just passed that big $60 billion bill to Ukraine? Do you remember when I came on here and I said this last week? You ready for this one? Write this one down, Mr. Producer. This won't be the last one. You know that? It won't be. There'll be another one and another one. And as long as you're writing something down, write this one down. Once Ukraine signs its peace agreement, once they lose, and they will, once they sign the peace agreement, and they will, once Russia takes the territory officially they wanted, and they will, the United States government is going to bloodsuck even more of your money right out of your wallet, and they're going to hand it to their friends at BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, these finance giants, to rebuild Ukraine. We'll spend more money rebuilding Ukraine than we're spending right now in the lost cause that is the war of Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky, or Vladimir, depending on what article you read, gave a speech this weekend. On my life, I swear to you, I didn't know this was coming. Here it is. Would you like to hear it? Quote, "We are also working on fixing specific levels of support for this year and for the next 10 years, including armed support, financial, political, and joint arms production. The agreement should be truly exemplary and reflect the strength of American leadership." Farmers going on welfare. Little old ladies not sitting around playing bingo, bouncing her grandkids on her knee. She's killing herself on a Saturday, delivering food to people for $60 that can make her pay her bills, allow her to pay her bills that night. And this from Mitch McConnell. This is how much your government cares.
I'm going to be advocating increasing the defense budget, no matter who gets elected, and preparing ourselves for the long term, which is China, Russia, and Iran. This administration budget requests for defense haven't even kept up with inflation. I have some influence here in the Senate. I intend to use it, no matter who gets elected president, to increase our defense budget and get ready for the challenges that we have ahead of us.
Now, whatever you think about defense budgets, if you're that little old lady, you're that farmer on welfare, do you think that person's there working for you? And look, Mitch McConnell's bad enough. That's bad enough. The GOP's bad enough. I could have played you 1,000 clips of the GOP. The most important thing in the world is Ukraine. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my gosh, protests on Colombia. Blah, 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 blah. I could play for you all of that, but maybe the worst part is White House Correspondents' Dinner this weekend, President, all the people in the press got together. And right after the 60-year-old woman spent her whole Saturday working her fingers to the bone, just trying to get by, the President of the United States and all of his media friends got together and laughed at her.
Everything feels strange now. By a lot of measures, President Biden is having a very successful first term, but people don't seem to realize it. Like with the economy, the vibes are bad, but the numbers say it's strong. The economy is kind of like you on the steps of Air Force One. It feels like it's stumbling, but there is somehow upward progress.
Just making laughs. Having a good time in the economy. It's going well, but you fell. Isn't it funny? It's friggin' hilarious, isn't it? And that, look, when they're not laughing about the economy, they're going on television, having destroyed it, all these people, having destroyed it, they're going on television and taking no responsibility for it, just doing a bunch of finger pointing again. Does anyone even speak or care about Americans in this government?
Since President Biden came into office, food prices, for example, are up 21%, and the average hourly wages are down 2.5%. That's from January of 2021. So now we're seeing inflation go up again and GDP slowing. So is this the start of stagflation?
No. When you look at incomes are growing faster than inflation. And when you look at food costs, those have also stabilized. And what we know to be true is that input costs are coming down. And one of the things the president's called on companies to do is to pass those cost decrease down, pass those cost decrease to the American people. And I've seen that myself in terms of grocery shopping. I've stopped going to the grocery shop by my house and gone to the one by my church because there you've seen prices come down. And what he's saying is that the American people shouldn't have to go to different grocery stores. All the grocery stores should pass on the lower cost of input costs to American consumers.
You're out there delivering groceries on a Saturday and the administration's blaming the grocery stores. Or bragging that, what did he say? Wages have outpaced inflation. And I got to let it go. I'm telling you, not stop caring. That's not what I'm saying. I got to stop taking it home. I got to stop letting it eat at me because it's killing me right now. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. It is time for Dumb and Dumber.
What am I doing here?
You know what scares me but also makes me laugh? Maybe you're right there with me. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, those people lead the country. Just, I know we talk about this all the time, and the screw-ups and how embarrassing he is and how embarrassing she is, and I know we talk about this all the time, but Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they run the United States of America. And before we get to Joe, we'll get to Joe here in a minute. Kamala Harris is going to be president? Maybe? Let's put it this way. You've seen Joe Biden, and we'll get to his latest screw-ups. You've seen Joe. It's getting worse. Joe Biden is getting worse. He's getting worse quickly. He even does that. You'll see this in a little bit. He does that, like the mouth hanging open thing now when he looks at you. Like your mouth weighs, like your jaw weighs 1,000 pounds. He's just done, right? He's done. He looks bad. But Joe Biden has to be president for the remainder of this year. And if he doesn't, medical scare, God forbid something happens, Kamala Harris is going to be president of the United States of America. Like, we think about her, and we know that that's the possibility, but we haven't really put our minds there quite yet. And let's talk about November, right? Because that's really what we're talking about here. What are their chances? How bad do they look? What if they win? They could. You never know. Don't you dare fall in love with poll numbers in April. All right, don't do that. This is a long way away. This election could be, it's anyone's game right now. If they win, it turns into what? A guarantee? A 90% chance that Dome is going to be the president of the United States of America. And, well, remember when I went on Tucker and talked about her laugh a long time ago? Everybody watching you right now has worked for or worked with somebody who just has ambition just dripping off of their pores. And that's Kamala
right.
Harris. Those types of people will do anything to get ahead. They treat their bosses like crap. They treat their employees like crap. That's why she knifed Joe Biden in the debate with all that race nonsense. There was no need to do that. It's the same reason she cackles like a dead hyena every time she's asked an uncomfortable question. It's the same reason she started out her political career as Willie Brown's bratwurst bun. Kamala Harris will do anything to get ahead. The cackling, though, let's focus on that. Because clearly her team has brought the information to her that it's a problem. She's done it all the time. You remember, we could play you a montage that's an hour long of her laughing. She'll make some terrible joke and then laugh. Terrible joke, laugh, terrible joke, laugh. And now, well, she's out there saying this.
My staff, for example, sometimes they'll show me little things that just amuse me. Like, apparently, some people love to talk about the way I laugh.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I love your laugh.
Well, let me just tell you something. I have my mother's laugh. And I grew up around a bunch of women in particular who laughed from the belly. And I think it's really important for us to remind each other and our younger ones, don't be confined to other people's perception about what this looks like and how you should act in order to be, right? It's really important. It's important.
I love your laugh, and I love that message.
What does that mean? Don't be confined by others to what this looks like and what it's important to be? Who talks like that? What do those words even mean? And let me tell you something, Dome. The reason why people talk about your laugh, I'll be honest with you, it's because it makes us nervous. And you know why it makes us nervous, Dome? Because you're a 58-year-old woman, whatever she is. She's older, 57, 58, no insult to that, but you're getting up there in years. You're a 57-year-old woman. You should know who you are by now and be comfortable in your own skin. How many 57-year-old women are watching me right now? You're very comfortable with who you are. You know what you are. You know who you are. But you, the 57-year-old woman who's one heartbeat away from taking over the reins of the United States of America, you are so incomplete that you feel the need to nervous laugh every time you say something. And what it does is it makes us believe that you're not quite ready for the job. And so this is what we're going to have to suffer, remember. If Dome takes over, and whenever that day comes, if that day comes, what Drew Barrymore did in this next little clip with Dome is something we're going to have to endure, the most nauseating, dishonest media slobbering you've ever seen in your life.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now.
Yeah.
But in our country, we need you to be Kamala of the country.
We need you to be Kamala. We need you to be Kamala of the country. And Dome sits there awkwardly like she always does. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely, I need that. These are the people who lead the United States of America. I can't believe it. And let's move on to the other guy. This is one of the best things in the world. I'll tell you something about running for office. Let me tell you something. You may not know this. Maybe you do, but I ran for Congress twice. Here's something you need to know about politicians, people who run for office, whatever that office may be. But I'll just make it about me. When you run for office, you have to talk to people all day long, all the time. You have to go to this pancake breakfast and this Rotary Club meeting and this Republican Club meeting. You got to give a speech here, but it's all shaking hands and kissing babies stuff, retail politics. Hey, Marty, how you doing? Hey, Barbara, how's the kids? It's all that kind of stuff. And because that's your life, you will find yourself speaking to people and you don't care at all what they're saying. And I know that sounds really, really mean, but I'm a really mean person. I'm here to tell you, I had a guy stop me once. We were at some big event, and I was meeting and greeting people. I had a guy stop me one time because he wanted to take 20 minutes at this big event and tell me his 7-point invasion plan for Iran. I'm not making this up. And then he proceeded to launch into his invasion plan. And I'll tell you what you master when you're running for office. Every politician has mastered it. Even the ones who tell you they haven't, they're lying to you. You know what you master when you run for office? You master getting this look on your face like you're listening. So you're not listening. You're daydreaming. I think I'm going to have nachos later. Maybe a meat lover's pizza. But you're looking at the person like, oh. And you just learn to get that look on your face. Now, let's talk about Joe, you see. He's been a politician for many years, and he obviously has learned those skills over time. But now, he appears to be losing his touch. You see, Joe, it is important when you're done with the looking to say something. Something, whatever the something is. It can be, oh, wow, that's great. That's very interesting. Hey, reach out to my staff. Shoot us an email. Hey, thanks, Bob. It could be something, but it has to be something, Joe. That part of it's important. What you can't do is this.
We've been trying to catch up with you, and I've had coffee with the vice president, but whenever you're out there, we want to talk to you. Because I feel like, I don't know, I got your back. I'm just trying to, like, President Biden, get you to pull up.
It just turns. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I just gotta go. And now the White House they're putting out a mistake counter for the man. That gets embarrassing. 148 already so far in 2024. Apparently that's the Joe Biden mistake calculator. They're just going to call every dirty lie he says out there a mistake. Here's a little sampling of the Joe we've enjoyed this year. This is the President of the United States of America, keep in mind.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted? In Pennsylvania, I have a message for you. Send me to Congress. Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy? For democracy. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years.
I'm sorry. That one gets me when he keeps reading the teleprompter. That's the President of the United States of America. And look, take joy in the fact that it's making the communists nervous. Nancy Pelosi, Grandma Vodka, has been known to get short-tempered, especially in her later years. And she went on MSNBC, didn't take too kindly to all this stuff.
Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst. I don't think that anybody can accuse me of that.
I love her, though. Who do we blame? Who's the problem? Here in the United States of America, we'll make it about us. Who's the problem? Who's the problem? How do we address the problem? Because it can get confusing, can it? You look around right now and there are new stories, new scandals, new protests, new riots every single day. And we can find ourselves blaming people who may not be great people, but they're probably not the ones we should blame. I'll put it to you this way. So we're about to talk about street communists versus elite communists and the protests and things like that. Just really quickly, we have a big show for you. But let's say you've invited me over to your house, my whole family. We're coming over, we're gonna have dinner, we're gonna get Little Caesars and some crazy bread and stuff. All right, so it's Little Caesars night at your house, bringing my family over. And I stand in front of your home, your apartment, wherever you live, and I tell my 2 meathead sons, even though they're very well-behaved boys, but I tell them right before we walk in, hey boys, when we go in, I want you to trash the place. See something expensive, knock it over and break it. In fact, I want you to raid their pantry, steal all their food. If you find any expensive jewelry, stuff it in your pocket. And don't worry, boys, if you do this for me, not only will you not get in trouble, I'll protect you and I'll reward you. And then I walk into your house with my boys and they proceed to trash your house. Now, who's the real bad guy in that situation? Obviously, you're not happy with the boys, little monsters. Stop breaking my stuff. Whoa, those are my earrings. You're not happy with the boys, and you need the boys to stop. But they're not the source of the problem, are they? They're not the bad guy, the real bad guy in that scenario. The bad guy in that scenario is me, the one facilitating it, directing it, protecting it. Right now, the big story across the country, everywhere, every time you turn on the news, that's all you can see is the street animals all over America's colleges. Right now, they're protesting, I love Hamas, kill all the Jews, all the random crap they're saying, death to America, all the standard things they're saying right now. And everyone wants to talk about the street communists this, and I can't believe the students that, and these students are crazy and whatnot. But did you see the story out of the White House yesterday? White House yesterday came out, what kind of leaked, but they kind of announced it, that these refugees from Palestine, refugees who no other nation will accept, because every time a nation has accepted refugees from Palestine, it's been a disaster. All kinds of terrorism, it's the disaster. So now nobody takes them. Jordan won't take them anymore. Everyone's all, not for me. But the White House, they want them to come here. Now, what? How could that be? We just had violent protests and people were getting beaten and there were arrests and the cops had to raid, but you want to gather up a bunch of people and bring more of them? How could that be? Well, as much as I despise the dirty street animals you've seen on college campuses, as much as I hate the Antifas of the world and the Black Lives Matter and the LGBTQ demon freaks as they're out there in their pink feather boas, as much as I can't stand these people only do the things they do in this country because they are paid to do it by the elites. They are allowed to do it by the elites. In many cases, they are encouraged to do it by the elites. The politicians, the bureaucrats, the media people, the finance billionaires, the tech billionaires, they are the true source of evil and destruction in this country. They are the ones who have lined all this out. I want to make sure I give him credit. His name's Matt O'Brien. We've had him on the show before. He's with The Blaze. But he did a fascinating report, and I'll let you go read the report. So I'm just going to paraphrase for you here in the interest of time. We have a senator coming up. We have so many other things coming up. You know, the government's job is immigration enforcement. It's one of their main jobs, one of their few jobs. For obvious reasons, you kind of need the central government to decide who can come in, who's not going to come in, citizenship questions, the border protection. This needs to be done by the federal government. They're the security guard. We hired them to work security. Matt O'Brien lays it all out here. Names, Michelle Branier, Chris Magnus, you name it. The people running the government, and specifically the immigration portion of the government, they hate the country. And more specifically, they hate immigration enforcement for the country. Most of these people have made public statements against ICE, against deporting anybody. The people we've put in charge to guard the door, the security guard we hired to guard the home, it's not that he just got drunk and he's sleeping on the job and now a bunch of burglars are stepping over him to get in the house. The security guard we hired to guard the home is actually taking the money we paid him and he's advertising to criminals that they're allowed to come here. And if they need help with the plane ticket, he's buying them a ticket so they can come to town and come into our home and rob the home. That's where we are. That's where we are as a country. All these dirty animals on college campuses, it's the faculty that created these little monsters. You know, they were talking yesterday about how they think there are terrorists involved and terrorists here and terrorists there. And anyone who's read the Anti-Communist Manifesto, available at jessekelleybook.com, everyone who's read this wonderful book knows the terrorists are on the staff. All those Weather Underground terrorists trying to murder people in the United States of America, they all moved right on to become university professors and administrators. Oh, we have big, big problems. but it goes well beyond some skinny college dorks at Columbia University. The real source of the rot is up on high. Remember that.